Oh, this is gonna be good.
The Bucks losing Game 1 to the Heat. Who was surprised and who wasn't surprised? I'm gonna start with Bryan because we damn well know that he was not surprised.
Yeah, it was a shocking turn of events last night in the bubble. Miami taking it to Milwaukee. Who could have seen that coming in Game 1? Never in my wildest imagination that I think Jimmy Butler would outplay Giannis in Game 1 of a playoffs. I mean, look, it's what I've been saying all season long. And here's the thing. I agree. I don't overreact to Game 1s. Like, this stuff was happening last time where Portland beat the Lakers and Clippers lost to Dallas. And I was like, all right, I need to see it in Game 2 for it to be real. This is different. This is different because all season long, probably even before the season began, we did a podcast where I was like, look, I think Miami could take it to Milwaukee in a 7-game series. I said that they're probably the team best equipped to deal with Milwaukee in the playoffs. Although that's not to say that Boston or Toronto, we'll get to them later, I guess, wouldn't be equipped to deal with Milwaukee. But in terms of not caring about what the other team could provide, not really respecting what they can do, having a better coach, the entire series, every single game will probably outcoach the best coach in the Eastern Conference regular season, and just not even being on a home floor and away floor, they're on a neutral court situation. And what they did to Giannis yesterday, and although he almost had a triple-double, he still struggled if you just watch the game. This is what's been going on all season. Like, almost every quarter they've played in, they've really frustrated Milwaukee. They won a game without Jimmy Butler very early on in the season that looked eerily similar to what happened in this game, except that game also went to overtime and Miami won, whereas this time around it didn't even need overtime. Milwaukee just did what they did and didn't really play great fourth quarter basketball. And in some respects, like, they've been blowing out a lot of teams in the regular season. I feel like they don't have as much close game experience as some of these other teams that we're seeing that have had to compete in closer game situations. And one of my concerns going into the bubble was Giannis down the stretch in the last 3 minutes of a game or so. How is he getting you the buckets? Like, is he just gonna bulldoze his way to the rim and get fouls? Because it's not gonna always work in the playoffs. Is he gonna cross you up and shoot a jumper in your face? Because that's not really his game. And Miami's figured this out, and they know what it takes to beat this team. And I think they could do it over the course of a 7-game series, like I said before the series began.
So here's the thing, though: who is this on? And I'll pass this to Jarod and Jamal. Is this on Giannis when you see a performance like he had in Game 1? Like Bryan said, close to a triple-double, shot 50% from the field. You want to see a little bit better. Is this on him? Is anything that goes wrong with the Bucks, is it on him?
I mean, look, I'll first agree with Bryan's point that let's not overreact about Game 1, right? We all on this podcast believe it's going to be a long series, right? We anticipate 6-7 games. So it's going to have some ebb and flow and some back and forth. I do think, however, that as Giannis, the way he is held up as now, or not even but like either co-face of the league or whatever you want to call him now, right? But like, he's that guy. He just won his first Defensive Player of the Year award. In all likelihood, he's going to win his second consecutive MVP award. By the way, joining only 2 dudes do it in the same season, which is insane. Okay. Giannis is nice, and homie can ball, and he is excellent. However, Miami has a great sort of mindset and strategy, and Jimmy is a big part of that. And it was almost similar to how Dallas played the Clippers in the first round. Jimmy infuses them with his I don't give a fuck attitude, and they are all on board with that. Jimmy don't care that Giannis is DPOY, going to win MVP. If you were to ask Jimmy Butler right now, who's better, you or Giannis? You know he's going to say him, right? He definitely ain't going to say Giannis. Like, that's just how he is and how he carries himself. And everybody on the Heat are like, yeah, we following that dude. And that all fits into the Miami culture and all that. So a lot of times when you see a team like, oh, the Lakers, they got LeBron and AD. Oh, the Clippers, they got this person. Some of those teams give them a little bit maybe extra reverence about being so good. Jimmy's like, man, fuck that. Like, he's like, Milwaukee and fuck that. Like, he's not worried about them like that. Like, he doesn't disrespect them, but he's not like cowering in fear. Like, in his mind, whether true or not, he believes we're as good or better than this team, and we can beat them. Now, whose fault it is? Game 1, Giannis will look at the tape and be like, all right, I got to take some blame here. There's some things he could have done better. But what's going to ultimately happen in this series, and Brian hit the nail on the head, it's going to come down to Bud making quicker adjustments than he normally does, which is something Bud doesn't always do. And let's be real. Bud ain't the best coach in the Eastern Conference. I know Brian put quotes because he doesn't believe it either. First of all, Spo's better than him. We know Nick Nurse is better than him.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll even say,
Your boy?
I hate this team.
Your boy?
Brad Stevens is better than him, right?
What?
So at best, he's the fourth best coach out of these four that are remaining, right? Let's just call that what it is.
Oh, so Jarod, you talked about the fact that Giannis might look at this tape and when he sits in film session and say that there's more that he needs to do. Jamal, what more can Giannis do here? I think a lot of it has to do with the outside shot that we're not seeing in the way we're seeing teams defend him in the postseason, which is something I know all of us have talked about going into this. What more does he need to do? And is this game 2 that we're about to see, I don't know if we're there yet, but is this a kind of a watershed moment for Giannis where he's got to step up big time in a big game?
I mean, he just has to be more patient. I mean, it's just like any other series. You got to recognize what teams do to you and adjust. Obviously, Miami is a better defensive team than Orlando is. It's not even close. Okay, and they have a better coach, as was mentioned. So they have a better scheme, and it is a scheme. Okay, it's not just one guy sitting back saying take the jumper, because people have been trying to do that all year, and he can get around that. It's team defense. When they say we're putting up a wall, that's 4 guys. Who part of their responsibility is Giannis. Make sure he doesn't get to the hole. So he has to recognize that he's not going to put up 30 plus every night. It's just not going to happen against Miami. So it is going to be a situation where he needs to be even more unselfish. Even though he is an unselfish player, he just needs to be more patient, I'll say, because what happened in the first game is, he had a lot of I forget, he had at least 5-6 turnovers. A lot of times still trying to dribble into the wall, and that's not going to help. So he needs, he had 9 assists, I think. We're talking about, and it's been mentioned before. Yes, Giannis had a bad game. He did, but he still had 18, 10, and 9. Okay, so that's a pretty good. That's like a LeBron James bad game. So I think he just needs to. He's going to need to adjust. It is on him, because he's going to need to play in a way where he doesn't get frustrated that he's not going to be able to put up 30 plus. Okay, so you got to, maybe those assists have to go up to 12 or 13. Okay, and you need to pick his spots, and he needs to hit his free throws. He was turning the ball over and missing free throws. That's where he had a bad game in game 1. And any great player, the test of any great player is how you adjust to how teams are playing you. The bad sign for Milwaukee is that Middleton had a good game. The other Korver had a good game. You can't really expect that every night from those guys. Give you Bledsoe. I was scared right away from Milwaukee when I saw Bledsoe wasn't playing game 1. Mm-hmm. I instantly got online and took Miami +5 when that happened. I thought Milwaukee still could win, but by a point or two. I'm not saying I knew Miami was going to win, but that's a big deal if they don't have their complete squad. But yeah, so to answer your question, Giannis is going to have to play better. He didn't play well game 1, but we got to wait and see how he adjusts, because we know he's a superstar in the league. So we can't just think that every game is going to go like game 1 did for him.